What's going on, you guys? You're tuned into the Cutting Room Knife Review. I'm your host, Garrett. Today, we have another episode of Budget Bangers. And on this episode of Budget Bangers, we are checking out the Vosteed Marten. What's up, guys? I'm Garrett. You're tuned into the Cutting Room Knife Review, where I review knives, blades, and all things sharp. Please like and subscribe so I can keep bringing you more killer knife content. Now, a budget banger is what I'm calling a knife that has good qualities, is a good choice for carry, something that I think is worth checking out, but is under the budget of $100. And this knife comes in right at the top of that. This knife is $99. And there's actually a couple newly released models of this knife with a carbon fiber handle that come in actually over $100. But the aluminum handle version of the Marten comes in right at $99. And so this is an interesting knife because it actually has a lot of qualities to it that most knives that are budget bangers don't have. It's got some very, almost mid-range qualities and materials that it uses. I like this knife a lot, and there's only one thing that really holds this knife back, and we'll get to that. But for now, let's check out the Vosteed Marten, the materials it's made out of, and the specifications that make it the knife that it is. Okay, so the Vosteed Marten is 6.8 inches overall. It has a 2.98 inch blade, and the blade height, or they're calling it the width, is 1.04 inches. The thickness of the blade is 0.118 inches, pretty close to 0.12 inches. So pretty standard as far as that goes. Now, the handle length is 3.81 inches. The handle width or height is 1 inch exactly, and the thickness is 0.49 inches. So this knife is a compact knife. Typically what I want for everyday carry is between 7 and 8 inches overall, and between 3 and 3.5 inches for the blade length. This is shorter on both of them, those measurements. The blade length is about appropriate, but the handle length on this knife is a little short. And it's a comfortable compact carry in my opinion. However, it kind of falls short, at least for me, because of the handle length. It does fit in my hand just fine, and it fits with the forefinger grip as long as I'm choked up and using the blade choil. Now, if I hold it further back, I do get a forefinger grip on it, but it feels like I'm about to fall off it. It really does. It's okay. It's okay. It's not the most comfortable grip on when you're gripping back on it. It feels a lot better choked up. Here's the thing about choking up on it. Because the knife is a fairly straight design, and we don't have any dip to the blade, when we choke up like this, I'm cutting off a lot of the blade length that I'm able to cut with because of my knuckles right here. I'm going to have to turn the blade and cut like this. And now what I'm left with is about to here. And that's all that I'm going to be able to cut with of the blade, because my knuckle is going to be in the way of cutting with any of this length of the blade edge. Now, that's okay. It does feel like a compact knife. Vosteed in general makes models that tend to be on the smaller side, in my opinion. This is no exception. But what it does make up for is it has some really nice materials. Now, typically with budget bangers, we see blade steels like D2, 14C28N, and Nitro V. Vosteed has stepped up the blade steel on this knife with 154 cm, and that's going to be a more expensive blade steel. It's a really nice, high quality knife steel. It's an older knife steel. Um, Back maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that's what they had. 154 cm was the top of the line knife steel, and it's used now kind of in mid-range knives. It kind of sits right in between lower budget-end knives with 14C28N or Nitro V. That's what I call budget, not low-end. Low-end's like usually D2 or 8CR, MOV3, MOV13, I think. But 154 cm sits kind of right below CPM S30V or CPM S35VN. It's a pretty durable steel. It holds an edge all right. It's kind of a jack of all trades steel. It's fairly corrosion resistant. And it's arguably a step up from 14C28N. It certainly is better in the fact that it's a powder metallurgical steel, and 14C28N is not. That's really what it has on it. As far as edge retention goes, as far as actual use goes, I think you could argue that either or would be okay, but you're going to pay a little bit more for 154 cm, so people are going to see it as a step up in quality. Now we have a PVD coating on this 154 cm, which is going to help with durability. It's also going to definitely help with corrosion resistance. So that is a great thing in my opinion. And we have an aluminum scales, an aluminum backspacer, stainless steel hardware. And if you look, the aluminum scales on this knife are micromilled. And that micromilled texture is grippy. It's really comfortable. It looks nice. And it is definitely a higher end feature of this knife. It's part of why it's costing $99, and it's definitely giving you the value of having a micromilled scale. I like it a lot. I like that they did that a lot. We have a deep carry stainless steel clip, and it's a really nice clip. Vosteed does a good job with their clips. It is reversible. They do not fill up the holes on this side. And that just bugs me. I hate empty holes on knives, but it is what it is. We have a top liner lock on this knife, so it is the same as the compression lock from Spyderco. It's incredibly strong, very reliable, one of the best locking mechanisms that's out right now. The liners are nested, so everything looks real nice and clean on this knife. It is a very clean looking, nice knife. This is one of the more traditional styles that I think that Vosteed has came out with. Vosteed likes to do some interesting looking knives sometimes. I either love them or I hate them. And this is just a traditional drop point. Just it looks like a pocket knife, and I dig it. It's good for me. It's running on bearings. It has pretty good action. It has what I would consider to be smoother action than, say, the porcupine or the raccoon. Those are definitely going to feel inferior as far as the action goes compared to this knife. It feels a lot smoother. Definitely upgrading the bearings, in my opinion. Run has thumb studs for deployment, and that's about it for this knife. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Feels good choked up, but that's going to take away a lot of that 3-inch blade. And held back, I think that if you had smaller hands than me, this would be a comfy knife. I think it's a good, compact, everyday carry that Vosteed's released. It definitely looks the part of a nicer knife. I like that about it. It's got good blade geometry for just a regular old drop point blade. It's a flat grind. Nothing super fancy, but I think it's attractive. I think it looks classic. I think it looks classy. The aluminum is done really well. All in all, it's a great looking knife. It's one of those knives, much like the Croc, that I wish they gave me a half-inch more knife. I don't necessarily need a half-inch more blade. I want half an inch more handle. I want to be able to hold it like this and not have my pinky almost be falling off. But it is what it is. They give us a little bit of jimping here on the spine of the knife. That's nice. Nothing fancy, nothing out of the ordinary. So let's take a look at this knife and compare it to some other knives that are its competitors. So, of course, like always, we are going to take the Para 3 out and compare it to the Spyderco Para 3. And now the Para 3 is considerably bigger than this knife. It is bigger by a good amount. And the Para 3 is right where I feel real comfortable in about as compact as I want an everyday carry knife to be. And if so, the way you can see the difference in this knife, it's not incredibly smaller than the Para 3, but it's definitely smaller. And that's why it feels just a little too small to me. It just really does, but it doesn't come off like a super compact knife. It doesn't give me that like teeny tiny knife feeling to it. It just seems like a little bit too small. Like it wants to be on the small end of a mid-sized knife, that medium size I talk about, and it's just not there. It's just right below there. We can compare it to the Paramilitary 2, and of course it's going to be a lot smaller than the Paramilitary 2 by over an inch. It's not even in the same realm as the Paramilitary 2. What this knife kind of is in the same realm of is going to be some like really smaller knives, and its counterparts that are in the budget banger range realm are really there's a lot of bigger knives in this, and I'm going to give you an example. This is about as small as I like to carry of a knife, and this is the Native 5, and the Native 5 is a little bit bigger than it. And the handle is definitely a lot bigger than this knife. It's just where everything fits in my hands. This knife just does a better job, and this is about as small as I like to go. This is smaller than the Para 3, and I said the Para 3 is as small as I will go. I lied. This is as small as I will go, and it's a little bit bigger than this, and just fits my hand a little bit better. When we compare it to the Raccoon, it is considerably smaller than the Raccoon. The Raccoon is a big size jump up for a Vosteed knife. You see the blade is bigger, the handle is bigger. All in all, this just fits my hand better. We have the Drop Bear 2. And the Drop Bear 2 is actually a very similar size knife to this knife. It's a little bit bigger, just a teensy bit bigger. But Kaiser made the handle just fit my hand a lot better than Vosteed did. For whatever reason, my hand does not fit this Vosteed as well. It's like I can get a little bit more of my pinky over here, and the choil goes up a little bit further into the blade on the Drop Bear 2. We might be getting a little bit less cutting edge on the Drop Bear, but that really doesn't bother me, because if you look at where my knuckle sits on it, I'm probably actually getting more blade to be used on this knife than I am on this knife, even though we have a little bit extra edge if you look at it. I am just a bigger fan of the Drop Bear, personally. This is a bad knife, it just the Drop Bear fits me better. Look at the Civivi Elementum 2 button lock. Once again, we just have it just set a little bit forward, a little bit more space on the handle, and I'm just up on this knife. It's just a little bit more comfortable. There's just a little bit more knife in my hand, and it's just the littlest bit for me, at least. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is that this is just barely too small for me, and I have extra large size hands. I have some mitts. So if you have medium sized hands, this knife is probably just fine for you. If you have small hands, if it's my wife really likes this knife. My wife has obviously smaller hands than me. She loves this knife. This is not a bad knife. It's just, if you're a big guy, you have some big hands, this might not be for you. Some real small knives that I have. We have the Knife Standards RR Station Express, which is a compact size knife. They're fairly close to the same size. This is a small knife. It just seems to fit my hand a little bit better. Something about this, the way this kicks down, my index finger wants to scoot back on it. And if it was a little bit flatter, I think I could get my index finger like right here on the knife. This point is, and since I'm being scooted back by this kind of like space between the choil, the little mountain in between the two valleys, my finger doesn't want to sit on top of that. My finger wants to sit back from it. So if I had this space right here, it wasn't so pronounced as this like mountain, I guess. I don't know what to call it, this point that sticks out. If it was a little flatter, or if I was able to get my finger on this point better, it'd probably fit my hand a little bit better. Another knife that is very close to its size, actually a tiny bit smaller than it, is the Vosteed Marten. But here's the thing. My hand fits fine right there. That point doesn't stick out where this point is. If you look at it, this is kind of going this way, this one's leaning out this way, and my finger's just barely able to catch this edge, and I can just hold it a little bit more comfy. This is still about as small as I can get and be comfy on. This really is kind of too small of a knife for me. But even though the Vosteed Marten is a little smaller, just a tiny bit, it fits my hand better. It's the shape of this handle that's basically not working with my hand. And finally, we have the small Nkosi. And the small Nkosi is a little bit smaller than that from Chris Reeve. And the small Nkosi, we all know, is a 3-finger carry for me. So it does not, this is already a teeny tiny knife. This is a crazy compact carry for me, and this is not much bigger than it. But it is bigger than the small Nkosi. So all in all, we have a really high-end compact budget banger. You're paying every bit of your budget for a budget banger. It's $99, but it has the materials to kind of back it up. If it was like half an inch bigger, I think I would enjoy it a bit more. Does this compare to the Migron that comes in at $99? Does this compare to the Vacor? Does it compare to the Vacor? I don't know. We're gonna have to look at and see which one for $99 is really worth the money. Here's where this Vacor might really shine. So this knife has titanium scales. It has a crossbar lock, so this beats it in the lock. It has M390 steel. So this is $99 and this is $99. Which am I going to choose out of these two? All of a sudden, the Vacor seems like the winner to me. And I know a week ago I was saying I really wasn't feeling this knife, but in this case, I am. Which is more aesthetically pleasing? I think this knife looks a lot cooler. I think it looks cool. If you want to go on looks alone, this knife wins, of course. We have milling, we have cool colors. I think the knife's aesthetics look actually probably a little bit better. Which one's more comfortable in my hands? Well, for an extra large size hand, this one's definitely a lot more comfortable. And this has M390 blade steel on it, titanium handles. You are getting higher quality materials, higher quality blade steel on this knife than you are on this knife. So that's a toss-up. This is an extremely thin blade, so I don't know. I didn't hard test this knife to see if this knife was durable with such a thin blade. This is a thicker blade steel. 154 cm is a good, durable, hard use knife steel. Maybe there's something to be said about that. So, just thoughts. We're spending $99 on this knife. Is it worth the $99? I mean, let's be real, guys. Like, most of us can afford $99 for a pocket knife. Is this worth it? Probably. It probably is. If you're spending the $99, this is probably worth it for you, especially if you have a hand that fits it. If your hand doesn't fit this knife, I definitely think that, going for a pocket knife like the Raccoon, if you have a bigger hand, even though these are quote unquote like less expensive materials, being micarta and 14C28 and blade steel, you're not getting a huge difference in performance. Can you really notice a difference in performance between 154cm and 14C28N? I doubt most of us can. Is aluminum that much better than the micarta? This knife weighs less. This is a 2.9 ounce knife, so it's a very light knife. If you like that very light knife feeling, it does have probably an ounce less than this knife does. But there are some other options. Would I choose this knife over a Vision? This Vision, never mind the scales, but this Vision stock costs about $88, $99. Which one's more desirable for me? I think the Vision is more desirable. Excuse me. I think the Vision is more desirable. And I would buy this one every time over this knife. Is this a bad knife? No. Are there other knives that might be better choices? Yeah, I think there are. I would have a hard time suggesting to buy this knife for $99 over this Kaiser, which gives you aluminum scales, a hollow ground blade. It's PVD coated. It might be a DLC coated blade. I think this is actually a DLC coated blade. So it has a better coating on it than this knife does. And this is a Nitro V blade. And Nitro V is going to be durable. It's going to take a good edge. It's not valued as much as the 154cm steel is, but really, I don't think anybody's going to be able to tell a lick of a difference. Which is a better knife, this one or this one? They have the same locking mechanism. I don't think there's a difference in these two knives as far as the materials go. Really, I don't think the blade steel is the only thing that gives it a one-up on this, from this knife to this knife. You are having the milling, but that's an aesthetic thing. If you like the aesthetic thing, that's cool. This is just plain aluminum. But I think as far as, having a hollow ground knife, having a DLC coating on the blade, and this being $30 cheaper, I'm going with the Drop Bear 2 every time. I really am. This is the king right now. This thing, for the money, I think is king. And if it's not, then this thing is king. One of these two are the choices for budget knives right now. This is a cool choice. You're only spending a couple bucks more. If you like the look of it, go for this knife. There's nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with choosing this knife. If you want to save some money, and I think if you want, just best bang for your buck, performance for your buck, and you want a drop point, go with the Drop Bear 2. That's my 2 cents. So basically what we have here is a high-end, pretty like moderately high-end feeling knife. This knife doesn't feel like a budget knife to me. It feels like a medium range knife to me. It really does. And if you have smaller hands, could be an awesome knife for you. It really could. Big hands, I'd stay away and grab something else. So this is the Vosteed Marten. This is our newest episode of Budget Bangers, and we are the Cutting Room Knife Review. I'm your host, Garrett. Until next time, guys, stay sharp.